Palestinian news. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, to be here, and Diana, everyone who organized here. So I want to talk about actually the archive of the film 5 Minutes from Home, which talks about the story of the Jerusalem airport. This film was finished in 2008, but I started already in 2005 to research about the place and about the archive. It was not easy to find much about, for people just who didn't see the film. The Jerusalem airport actually, it lies on the road between Jerusalem and Ramallah. 5 minutes from Ramallah and 10 minutes from Jerusalem. And actually now, since a few years, there is a big checkpoint. The Kalandia checkpoint is exactly there. And if you, if nobody tells you, you will not see, but there is a runway behind the wall and the fence, the runway of the airport. So the airport was actually built in the early 50s by Jordanians and Palestinians, because Jordan was in control of the West Bank. And the airport was built then as a civil airport where Palestinians used the airport to fly everywhere. It was actually our window to the world. And people, especially my generation, and people who, I didn't know much about the airport, and I even I knew that it's called Kalandia Airport, because next to it there is a village called Kalandia, and in 1948 the refugee camp, which is more famous, that really next to the airport, next to the runway, is there. So I started looking. I heard about the airport by accident while I'm doing another film, a short film about a man who owns a library in Ramallah. In the center of Ramallah, he has an old bookstore where he sells books. I was making a film about him, Abu Jamil, his name. And then he mentioned, because I asked him, how did you bring books? Where did you buy them? And he said, yeah, I was going every week to Cairo and Beirut. And you have to understand, for somebody who been living, I'm somebody who was born under the Israeli occupation in the West Bank. So the reality that I've been living is mostly restriction, borders. We don't have an airport. We have to always fly through Amman to leave, to go across the border to Amman to take the plane to go to Europe or other places. So for me, it was like really a moment of when he told me, yeah, I used to go via Jerusalem Airport. I said, what do you mean Jerusalem Airport? It was the first time I hear about the existence of this name, Jerusalem Airport. He said, yeah, what maybe you know Kalandia Airport. So my generation mostly know about the airport as in the 90s or 80s, like when they were using the Israelis as a domestic airport. I mean, they couldn't use it as an international airport because under international law it's an occupied land, and they cannot use it as international airport, so they were using it flying to Eilat or to Tel Aviv. So this is how the story of the search for the archive started for me. And I realized how this is like very difficult to find anything, and this is because of the systematic erasure by the Israelis since 1948, when they looted the army. Then in 1948 they were beside the killing and uprooting and driving 800,000 people almost out of their villages and towns. They were also going into their houses and taking valuable things. And then even they had a special unit to collect the books and the private libraries, especially for people who living then in what is called West Jerusalem, in Katamon, and one of these families, actually, Edward Said house was there. And these people were like some of the intellectual people then, and they really had big private libraries that the Israeli looted, and many of these books actually now are seated in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Just to give you, and this erasure of control of archive continued actually until now in Gaza, and in Beirut, how they looted. I think Dr. Bashar will talk more about that. It's a systematic erasure, because if you control the memory and you control the narrative, and this is how. And so for me, it was really very difficult to find anything about the airport. And at the beginning, I didn't know where to start. And then I had this idea, okay, I will go to the oldest travel agency in Ramallah. And I was asking which office was working during the 50s. And I went there and they gave me a name, and this person gave me another name. And then in a few weeks, I was sitting in the balcony of Renee Marouf. She's the wife of one of the ex-workers of the airport, looking at these photos that did not exist in the public domain. And it made me, for me, it's like I was watching an Egyptian old classic movie in white and black, with women with fluffy dresses going down from the airplanes. And so I guess for me it was really a moment of joy to discover these photos. And after that I went from another person, and I was collecting all these family albums. I had to really, this is the only, and then when I started, actually the internet and Facebook was not something yet, and I couldn't find anything online, even in libraries. Even I went to the TV, the Jordan TV, because they were, and I couldn't find much about the airport. So I realized that I needed to go to ex-workers, ex-travelers who knew the airport, and they had these albums that actually I was happy that they shared with me. And maybe now I show the video, we should show a clip from the film where you will see some of these photos, and then I will continue.
ايه وبعدين قدام الباب اول ما تدخلي كانت تطلع جرس فوق المطعم والتراس عشان نشوف الطيارات، يعني للطيارات هيك عم بقشر كثير.
كان في كاونتر وفي ميزان عادي، بنات الخليل اللي كانوا يشتغلون مشان يحطوا شنطة عليه، مشان كل واحد يحط شنطته، وكاونتر وغسالة صغيرة مشان بس اللي وراء يعني. وكان في رفوف ازاز مشان وراء الطياره مثلا اللي ذكرت لك اياهم. بس هذا للمكاتب، ما كانش في مكاتب هو مغلق عنها، لا كاونتر خلاص الطياره تطلع اوكي نسكر الخزانه. هذا بالنسبه للمكاتب. ذكرت لك الصورة الملكية كان فيها كلابيات شيء حلو. على ما أذكر كان شغل دار الأيتام الإسلامية في البلد مشهورة كان بالتصنيع، وكان اللون نيلي، كلابيات لون نيلي. كلابيات فخمة طبعا مقدورة ملكية.
بحضر الشنطة بحطها بالسيارة، لا ل5 دقايق بكون في المطار. بطلع بالطيارة منها على العالم. معقول كابتن سالم كان السفر أو فكرة السفر هالبساطة أيام الخمسينات والستينات؟
قبل 67 لما صارت الحرب كنا احنا الفلسطينيين لما نيجي من بلاد برا ننزل في هذا المطار. انا ابويا شخصيا لما اجى من البرازيل اجى في باخره، وبعد الباخره اجى في الطياره ونزل هون.
صبرت انه بالزمانات هذا حكي ال 63 على القاهره.
تركيا والمانيا ومصر والكويت طبعا كنت كل جمعه تقريبا لبنان، طبعا كل جمعه كنت اروح.
يعني تقريبا الاهل والاخوه اجوا من السعوديه ويطلعوا عن طريق المطار. هسه المندوب 25 دقيقه اجى بريه سافر فلان وصل فلان. زي هلا جسر نرجع مش عارفين نعبر. مش عارفين نعبر هيك ومسكرين وبدي ارجع انتم بدنا نشوف اذا في طريقه سليمه. طيب حبيبتي أهلها
كنا نروح ونيجي من هون عادي. سافرنا بيروت من هون كل شيء. كنا شهر العسل.
مرة واحدة عارف قد ايه؟ الدمار من هون لعمان. الطيارة دمار.
لا والله عمري ما ركبت في الطيارة، أقول لك ركبت.
أنا ودعت أخوي لما صابر كان في مقر هون.
كان مسافر كل يعني الناس كثير كانوا يدخلوا على المطار من
مش محل إلا هو. كل المنطقة كل الضفة.
هلا ما حدا بده يخرج مسكر. طب لوين كانوا يسافروا؟
يروح على عمان، يروح على الولايات، على أوروبا، وين ما كان يسافروا هنا مش غيره. مطار صغير يعني وهي موجودة في شايفتي.
So we're here. So yeah, this is how I heard about the. I'll show you some slides. How I heard about it. What also, when I saw these photos, like it was also, it's not only showing the like these how the airport was. It also was reflecting the society, the culture, how was Palestine open to the Arabic words, for example. Like there was 2 times a week a plane coming from Beirut. There were even 2 airlines from Lebanon, Air Liban and Middle East, and then years after they joined and they became the Middle East airline. So that was important for me to highlight, and mainly actually for us Palestinians, because I used to pass by every day next to the airport from my home to my work, and I could not, I didn't know nothing about this place. I thought, really, I believed that it was Israeli, and that's it. Even it was built by the Israeli authority, but it wasn't. Before it was a civil airport, it was actually a British airfield, a military. They used it, and it was very small, and even without spout, and the building was not there. It was a very small thing. Yeah. So even in the papers I found, they write Kalandia with K, with the British wrote it with K, but Palestinians we write it with Q, which. So the guy you saw in the film, Yusuf Hajjar, he gave me these photos. So we're like people coming like from all over the world, especially like visiting the Holy Land. And one of the, I think maybe Marco can help me.
Yes.
What's the name of the Pope?
Paul VI.
Paul VI, like came in 1964 to Jerusalem, and there were lots of planes coming from the region, from Beirut, from Cairo. Everybody wanted to see him, so they were coming like Hania, the one you saw. She was saying that this is was really a very busy 3 days. They were working a lot because many people came. Yeah. So I should show you some of the photos. Yeah, this is I was trying to find the archive. I couldn't, because it was obvious that we don't have in Palestine a central archive, and that's because the archive actually represents the Palestinian situation, which is scattered all over the world. And until now, we don't have a central archive. We have some initiative here and there. For example, in Ramallah, there is the Palestinian Museum. They're trying to do archiving the family albums, which is, you can find it online, which is a good attempt that they're trying, but it's only a small thing of the picture. Yeah, I talked about this. This is the letter that I also was able to get. Somebody who lived next to the airport, and they had to, when building, they had to actually write the British commander to ask permission to build in a certain height, and this is the letter that they wrote back. So, yeah. the legal status, they couldn't use it. Yeah, this is was very important for me when I saw it. Like some of the pictures I was able to find online is only this photo. This was like in 2007 or 8. This photo that you see, and you can see this is from Yusuf Najjar, the one who was speaking. And he took it in the 60s, and this is after the war, when the Israeli Authority, they took the airport, they occupied it, and then they used it, and you can see, I noticed something when, like, you see that it was actually, there was no Hebrew here, and here they added the Hebrew, and if you don't know, you will think that it's always been an Israeli airport, because you see even the font, it looks like it belongs to the thing. So that was for me like astonishing how changing the narrative, and this is like also like, they call it Atarot airport because there is an Israeli settlement nearby. So this is how also the systematic change of narrative by changing also the names of the streets, the names of the places, and this is really systematic to erase this memory. And I was happy really to revive this because I remember the first time, the first screening of the film was in Ramallah, and it was really booked. The cinema was 500 people there, and people were like interacting with the photos, and they were like pointing to the people, like some of them, like the old generation, they were knowing the people in the photos, and this for me was very important to see how the older generation rediscovering this time, and the new generation, like me also, like, get to know this a piece of history that it was hidden or buried, let's say. Yeah, and even after the film screening, what happened, people came to me and said, yeah, my father traveled through the airport. So they were giving me, I got more photos after I screened the film, but I was like, okay, well, I finished the film. What can I do with it? But actually then 1 year later, I was able to make an exhibition with the more photos, and this was also like really very, and even I made postcards. If you see photos online about the Jerusalem airport, it comes from these postcards, because I wanted to be in the hands of people, and even it's this access for us to the world that it doesn't exist until now. I wanted also for us to think about it and dream about it, and yeah. So, and then also we made billboards in the city, in Ramallah. We had 3 or 4 billboards in different parts of the city. And that was also really had an effect, how people, unfortunately, this is without the screen. Yeah, we couldn't, yeah. And this is the exhibition, some photos from the exhibition. You can see we built really cabinet, everything from scratch, and yeah, we show it. And also I had a video there. And Yusuf, I gave him 1 room because Yusuf have this passion for aviation, and I gave him 1 room where he can display all his collective, his photos, he had planes, everything. Yeah. So the exhibition, actually, you can find online on the Besieged University, some of it, you will find it. And there is an article that I wrote about In Search of Jerusalem Airport that has more photos and tells more about the journey of searching for the archive. So, yeah, that's it.